So recovery is where all the magic really happens. So the cool thing is, think of it this way, right? You go into the gym, or if you work out at home, you work out at home. It's like sending a message. You're putting an intentional stress. As a response, the body will adapt in the way it will adapt in accordance to the stress that you put on the body. So there's two things that have to happen. One, now that you've sent that message, that anabolic signal to build muscle, which can help you out with fat loss as well, because like I'm saying, muscle is active tissue. It burns calories while you're sitting here in this car like at rest without really doing too much. It's protective as well, and there's a lot of other health benefits to having it, really, guys. So two things has to happen. Recovery, so that's just basically getting you back to the state you were in originally before you trained. And lastly, moving out of recovery, then we have got adaptation. So adaptation, people confuse the two of them, but they're two separate things. Adaptation is actually where we actually build new tissue, so your body's prepared for the next attack, for the next set of insults. So it's, imagine like I scrape my skin and then a callus forms, but imagine if I just was to like keep scraping my skin without giving it a chance to heal. It's just going to be concerned about recovery and healing, and it's not even going to have the opportunity to do that. So that's when overtraining becomes a factor. So you need to figure out the right balance of training, which allows for recovery but gives you enough frequency of training, because obviously once we do that damage in the gym, it's like, imagine I hit a balloon in the air. The balloon pops up into the air for a while, but then it starts to sink down again. It's the same with that muscle building signal. It starts to sink down after about 72 hours. Guys on steroids, the muscle building signal doesn't just drop down, it carries on much longer. So that's why they can get away with training more frequently, and their recovery is enhanced as well. So you need basically a balance. You need that frequent, balloon hit of training, where you get that anabolic signal sent up. But before the signal dips down again, you want to be, popping it up in some way again. So that's where my programs are kind of designed. And the programs I use, they're written by people a lot smarter than me, who've been doing it a lot longer than me even. I've been training maybe 10 years, but they're expertly designed. So if you want to have a go on them, you'll see results, because you won't burn out, because it allows for recovery. And it's also designed for the average person. So it's not designed, when you look at a body part split of like a bro split, which is 6 days a week, they're not intended for average people. They're intended for bodybuilders. And actually bodybuilders pre-steroids only trained 3 times a week, because that allowed for enough recovery. And they used to train full body 3 times a week, and they didn't train to failure. They'd train like a few reps outside of where we have what we call failure, which is where your form just breaks down, okay? Because that was optimal, really. And so for most people, 3 times a week is where 2 to 3 times, and if you're an advanced lifter, maybe potentially 4 times. But even if you're an advanced lifter, 4 times sometimes becomes too much if you're training the full body. But that's more appropriate for loads of reasons, right, for most people, okay? And you're going to get the most gains that way, guys. So like I said, if you want access to a program which is designed to have recovery, frequency for the whole body, it's going to help you build muscle, it's going to help you burn body fat, you're going to feel just good basically from it, and you're not going to need to really worry too much about throwing in loads of complicated other stuff with it, like cardio or crazy meal plans. Then send me a message. I will set up a little chat with you guys, and I will show you some kind of document of the actual program and just explain a little bit more how it works. Well, I followed it for I want to say 4 cycles now, and every time I run the program back through again, I see some kind of a strength increase. So it's the sort of program you could use and utilize for probably maybe a year or 2 and still keep on seeing gains, because it's phased into 3 different areas. Because what happens after a few weeks, the body plateaus if you train the same way. So we have different rep ranges, different rest periods every 3 weeks, so that way whenever it's actually, usually you can get away with training for about 4 to 6 weeks before your body stops responding. But what we do is we get kind of ahead of that curve by changing things up every 3 weeks in this program. So that's why you could run the program back to back to back, because of the way it's phased up. Because it's split into 3 phases like that, you're on paper you're changing things up every 3 weeks. So you could run this however many times you wanted and you'd still continue to see gains, which is, in my opinion, that's what makes a good program, guys. Right?